Hey y'all, this is Justin. I'm back here with you today. We're on this awesome little creek back in the middle of nowhere, and we just wanted to really talk to you, or I wanted to come on here and talk to you about my favorite rod size for wild water, for the Smokies, Pisgah, small water like this. A lot of people, the very common, I guess, size for this is like a 7.5 foot, 2 or 3 weight. Which those do great, don't get me wrong, and just because I have a different opinion don't mean that yours is wrong. You know, you fish with what you like to do, but this right here can really change how you fish this small water. So my favorite size rod for the Smokies, for any wild water, is a 9 foot 3 weight, or in this case, this is the Scott G series 8 foot 8 inch 3 weight. So obviously, it's quite a bit longer, you know, than your 7.5 foot or 7 foot rod, and there's a few reasons I really like from that. So how I come to this was I have a strong background with Euro nymphing, tenkara fishing, things like that. Especially tenkara fishing is really where everything started to line up and a light bulb come on for me for using these longer rods in the Smokies. The first one that I had was a Winston WT, an RL Winston rod that they made back in the early 2000s. It was a 9 foot 3 weight. And this is really the first time that I started fishing with that and these longer rods, and I was like, holy cow, I really like to do this. So what I really like about this is the length. You use the length to your advantage. So if I'm like approaching like this hole or like this hole right here with a short rod, especially if I'm wanting to, say, fish this run right up here, if I'm using a short rod, I have to pull 6, 8, 10 feet of line out and cast it up there. And then I have to worry about all the line on the water in that current right here behind me before I get to that hole. Well, with this, I'll just pull a couple of feet of line out. A lot of times whenever I fish this, I don't even have really any line out the end of the rod. It's all leader, especially when I'm throwing like a dry dropper rig. The weight of the nymph will turn the rig over just fine. So with this longer rod, I can literally reach out and just kind of do a little roll cast and turn those flies over. And I've got a very natural looking drift. I don't have all this slack line in the water, so it's not affecting my drift, and therefore it usually leads to more hookups and catching more fish. Another reason why I like doing this, especially in conjunction with a dry dropper rig, I tie my dry dropper rigs on a tag system, and we have a whole like rig system video that I can link up here or drop in the description below. But I like using these longer rods like this when I'm tying that dry dropper rig, because whenever I reach it out, like I mentioned before, it's I don't have any line really out on the water, and then I can pull all that slack out like you would if you're Euro nymphing or something, and then kind of just dance and kind of pop that dry if you need to, or just help manipulate that drift to where you're having the best drag-free drift possible. Now there's other features to it as well besides fishing. Like this is a pretty, small creek. It's not super overgrown, but the creek is pretty small side to side. Where this comes into play too is, say, below this small creek is a bigger creek. Well, with a shorter, like 7.5 foot rod, like I said, it's a personal opinion that I feel that you're more kind of narrowed, like you're not as versatile as this longer rod. So you're not undergunned, you're not trying to pull a bunch of line out to cast in the bigger water down below like this smaller water. With this longer rod, you're going to get better casts, better drifts, again, because you can cast farther with that line, and you can get that rod tip up off the water. I can say since I started doing this, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago. It's really changed my productivity and the fish that I catch in the park, and really just led to some great days catching some awesome fish. This rod right here for the last couple years has been like an extension of my arm. It pretty much stays rigged in the truck ready to go, and I very rarely use a rod sub 8 foot or 8 foot 4 inches anymore. So next time you're in the shop, go grab like one of our long, we have a couple 8 foot 8 inch and 9 foot light line rods in our shops. So give it a try. If you have any questions on any of it, drop a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate you watching. And until next time, we'll see you on the water.